This is your daily market recap for Monday, November 7th, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Monday, November 7th, 2022, the day before the election. Hopefully you are doing well, trying to keep people informed and abreast of what's going on. I know it's not simple, but it kind of is sometimes if you don't overthink it. Talked about weeks ago that they would not crash the market in front of the election, thought it would hold up. Well, now we're on the eve, and at this point, the market is holding up. Closed near 380, not surprised, closer to the highs versus the 350 area. All I can say is study the market evidence. Stop putting yourself in between what you think the market's going to do and what it will do. That is the biggest mistake. Number one indicator of the ability to sustain is to think that you know more than the market without looking at evidence. Also, trading the economy versus the market. Again, the market is not the economy. The economy is not the market always. Sometimes the stuff matters. Sometimes it doesn't. You don't know what's priced in. You don't know what's not priced in. A lot of people overthink this stuff, and just is what it is. I'm going to take a little pat on the back because, again, I told people that I had no doubt in my mind this was going to hold up in front of the election. It just seemed logical. The markets played game with the Fed meeting, which was pretty normal. And we can talk about it, and we'll show you again on the charts why that made sense, why we're at where we're at. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm doing live recaps and live chats all the time. If you want to be informed and such, trying to keep people in the loop, let's do it. Check me out also on Twitter, always posting what we're doing constantly, tons of stuff. Great day. Talked about some CF buys, waiting on the Mosaic earnings after hours to see what happens. Just constantly keeping people informed of what is going on. So anyway, I wanted to start off by just saying, again, please be safe. Do not chase. A lot of people bought some things today near the highs that I'm just mind boggled by. And again, not trying to be mean, but you got to be careful chasing in a market with the VIX in the 20s and 30s. You got to let things come to you. So on that note, try to, not be mad at people, but just really, I'm amazed. Like, how many times and how much money do you have to lose before you just say, you know what, it's time for me to change, time for me to do things differently? And those types of people, I mean, I just know how I just know how that ends for them. It's not well, and sadly enough. So, Bitcoin, I mean, it's making higher highs and higher lows. I personally don't really have a position on it other than if you bought it in the 17 to 18,000 range and you're holding for the long term, better hold up, set your stops at your entry. If you were trading it, I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to have the volatility it once did. It's like the VIX in the Bitcoin getting sucked out. Since literally, I don't know, it seems like, since the middle of September, this is just 20,000 to 18,000, which for Bitcoin seems rather light. The range is very tight. On that note, just moving on. I mean, people are like, oh, check out other stuff. I'm like, crypto is kind of dead to me. Not mean it's dead long term. It just doesn't look right near term. Oil. Congratulations if you took some profits today. We did. Not saying that it can't go higher. Trade around your core. If you bought down here and you bought right here on the retest at 85s, you popped to 93s, take some profit. There's talk of Trump re-entering the presidential election. I don't know if that would move oil for a minute or two, but we said the feds are doing what? They're stuck. They want to loosen up with unemployment increasing, but we have some severe supply constraints. I think oil is going to go higher, but here you go. Here's your line in the sand. Literally dinged it perfectly this morning. If you took profits, awesome sauce. If you chased it like some people did today, what the hell were you thinking? I don't get it. Again, how far could it pull back? I don't know. Just look for weakness. I mean, oil is perfect. It does this. Big green pulls back. Green should pull back. Now, could it go up 5 days in a row like it did previously? Potentially, but Support equals resistance. I don't know what to say other than support equals resistance. And you either believe in this stuff or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine. You're trying to play the certainty game, and I hate that. You just got to trade around things. You got to know things. You got to let your winners run, but you also have to just manage the position because you never know. Nat Gas talked about it. If you bought it down here, you bought the dips, you finally got paid off. I'm not surprised it pulled back. Look where it hit. The sevens. All right, well, just like we were just talking about with oil, don't be surprised if it plays games. Now, if it plays games, raise your stops if you need. Take profits. Some of y'all did. It was great. It's just watch it now because it could put like this like head and shoulders pattern. Look if and that would be pretty bullish in my opinion. And you've watched. Sorry, did I mess up the lines here? Yeah, I would watch this. You know that 660 area. That would be pretty awesome. Saying a lot of awesome today, but that is awesome. If you did hold it and you took some off today, congrats. Let's just keep an eye on it. I mean, natural gas is hard. That's why you got to trade in and out of it, and you got to know your spots. I say this all the time. Like, all stocks are hard. So let's check out. I want to check Mosaic after hours at 50. Everyone's anticipating ag names to get smashed because they got smashed on every earnings. And I'm just telling you right now, keep in mind, I do not know the Mosaic earnings numbers. But once the market realizes everyone thinks of a certain tendency is going to happen, that's when things start to flip. And I'm not saying that Mosaic has to tank or rip higher. I just would be on alert that if everyone anticipating the same reaction from all the ag names where they drop and then they rip back, just be on red alert. Don't assume anything. Because I would not be surprised if it just snapped right back up or dropped and popped. I mean, either way. I mean, you do what you got to do, but just be thoughtful. Bonds, talked about this 20-day. Hello. You know, like Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello. Little M pattern backing off. Said just leave bonds alone. I think they're stuck until the feds admit what they're going to do. We don't know. And when we say we don't know what the feds will do, yeah, they're going to raise rates. But how strong and how fast does the economy crash? You're not going to know that for another week or two, minimum. At least OPEX. I mean, they're going to try to talk the market up, and we know layoffs are coming. That's pretty obvious. It's just what are the feds going to do? So at this point, just leave bonds alone. Dollar. You're welcome. Said this doji was very ominous. Talked about it. Everyone's like, oh, it's flagging. It's got to break out. I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And look what happens. You get the channel high, backs off, holding around some support. Next support near 29s. Long-term, very bullish the dollar if the feds continue to raise rates. Near-term, not surprised. People don't realize this has been on fire. Probably needs to base out. Basing out might be good for the market, clearly. The VIX, you're welcome. You're welcome. Said if this didn't, the market couldn't break down, the VIX didn't confirm, the VIX was going to collapse. Oh, but this is not normal for the VIX collapse. I'm like, what planet have you been on? It happened in June, July as well. Happened in March. It happens. Now what? I'm kind of under the impression that we're going to maybe fill this gap, 23s. I mean, you got to be careful here. Now, I'm expecting some volatility this week. It is an election, and it is CPI. All right? Just keep that in mind. Just trade. Have your positions, trade around your core, and just expect the market to float up, potentially, because we didn't crash in October. But don't chase. If you chase, I will come through this computer mic and slap you. Unreal. Some people chasing buying gold today. I'm like, I would leave it alone. Oil, leave it alone. SPY. Here you go. Pops back, 2-day range at the 20-day, makes higher highs off the lows. I don't know what to say now. I still think you could probably get right back to the 390 swing zone, or God forbid, the channel highs. Oh, sorry, I'm not trying to move it. Channel highs. What channel? This channel, sorry. Channel highs, maybe the 200-day. I mean, it's a wide range, but it wouldn't surprise me. I doubt we'll get to 4. Yeah. Anyway, don't be surprised. The market might like it if there's a red wave, whether you like politics or not. I mean, we're talking money. That's all we care about. QQQ, making a higher high off the lows. We talked about this 260 area. You went below it, came right back. Hammer. Remember, Friday dojis. And then look what happens, right? It pops. I mean, I'm not surprised. You guys and gals out there, friends, family, countrymen, lend me your ear. Listen, pay attention. When you got this action, you got to be worried that it might rally. Now, again, pick your favorite tech name and just potentially they suck. Money's rotating, but at least the Qs are not crashing. Always say, watch the IWM. 50-day, 100-day, and then making higher highs. I know it's a little doji, but still trending. If you had a channel, looks like it's moving up. Gold, people who bought it today, what are you thinking? Again, just wait. The 50-day has been resistance, can go a little above it. I personally, again, don't know if I doubt this is the final bottom. But I'm anticipating to move up, but this is, again, pro gap. How many times have you seen a pro gap in a 2-day range, right? Novice gap, 2-day range, right? Like, it just happens. Pro gap, chop, and then back up, and then go more. You're putting yourself in a position when you chase this stuff to get stuck more often than not. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, if you really believe in gold long term, fine. You are probably in this position to think that it's going to the moon. We'll see. As of right now, it looks less and less likely. It's more of just a trade. Either way, what? Don't chase. So, I don't know. It just boggles my mind sometimes. People, they get so invested in the trade because they read the news and they read Kitco and they think gold, silver this, gold that, silver this, gotta go, junior miners, oil this, I read this, whoop. No, trade the market. It's like that TikTok. Go to the gym. Go to the effing gym. Trade the market. Trade the evidence. Stop reading the news. I mean, do you want me to yell at you? No, of course not. Silver, nice gap. And again, tight action. We're in this range. I think you can get up higher, but I'm not chasing this. Wouldn't chase. There's no dips. People don't know, like we get to see it, like, why are you buying CF? Because it dipped. Gave me a great entry. Kramer, what are you doing? Why are you buying? GDXJ. Again, the 100-day. Channel high. I mean, do you really want to buy this for $1? Might get chopped up here for a minute. Wait. Oh, but professional gap and go. I see that. I see that with volume. I see it. Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. But I am going to argue that what? The market is what it is. And it might congest here. So just wait. I mean, it just went from 28 to 32 almost. 12%, and you just got to chase it, I guess. I don't know. GDX, it just boggles my mind. Same thing here, little doji at the 100-day in the channel area. Again, we like these if the trade continues on. Should go higher. AG. I mean, you're coming into the next resistance zone and the 200-day. I mean, I just don't think I would buy these. AEM, I told y'all they don't like this deal potentially, the action. This isn't confirming. Them buying Umana. Umana. All right, we'll see what happens. It just doesn't look that great. Newmont got a nice pump on Friday. Okay, back at the 20-day, the stock looks dead as crap, but maybe it's got to bounce. So, we'll see. PAAS. Buying that, doing that deal. Market didn't really like it. And again, I don't like stock deals. Little cash buying crap miners. I'm sorry. People are like, oh, your money's good. I'm like, we'll see. AMD, we said. Post earnings, filled the gap. Chopping, doesn't look bearish. Holding the 20-day. Holding the channel lows. Again, I'm not a bull, but I think this could pop. Keep it simple. NVIDIA, we said, is holding up really good. It gapped up on Friday. Held, not surprised. They were like, oh, but you just said don't chase guys. Well, yeah, this had a 5-day range. Gold just popped off the range lows. And then what? It comes back. I mean, I don't know what to tell you and what you want me to say. Sorry, shifting my seat. But different. Multi-day range leads to higher highs. Awesome. We'll see. I mean, SMH, I've said this weeks ago, and everybody just ignores channel lows, ignores the fake breakdown, pump back, gets back over Some areas. Now, again, if you go look at the monthly, you'll see 50-month held. 20-day, look at that interesting candle, and then it gaps up. And again, that gap up, you got to be a little nervous. Now you're back at range highs. I still think you can get into a 200 handle. Said that. No. Again, everybody anticipating bearishness, don't anticipate the market to pay off. It loves to do the opposite. If you haven't learned that, I don't know what planet you're on, because your bank account will show you, or your trading account will show you very quick. If you anticipate the market to do what everyone thinks it's going to do, you are a loser. And not by loser, I mean like a loser as a person. Like, that's the goal. Like, that's the goal, is to target losers. People who follow the herd, do all the same crap that everyone else is doing. And in a bull market, maybe it works temporarily. It works at times. But hey, guess what? You got to be careful. That's all I can say. Oh, Mosaic numbers just came out. Some information. I'm going to drop this in the Discord room. Yeah. And on that note, let's move forward. I'll get to them shortly enough. Apple, they got to get out of China. Everyone knows it. All right, well, it's down 157 down to 135. You don't think there's a bounce potentially in this? I don't know what else to say. Amazon, again, I don't necessarily trust these, but this is a pretty big move. 121 down to 88. Probably could bounce back to 100. I don't really have any affinity or love for these names, but whatever. It just is what it is. CRM, better hold here. Just remember, we're in the chop cycle. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? I don't know. Just leave it alone. Goog. How bad do you want to chase it? We talked to holding channel lows. I don't know. Maybe it gets back to 95. How bad do you want it? Meta. Bad news is good news. Yeah, because they got to cut the fat. This company sucks. Been pounded. Do you want to trade the up? Good luck. I just don't. I don't like it, because at any point, all of these tech names, upper left, lower right, do people realize that there are folks trapped who are looking for any bounce to sell into? Now, again, it doesn't mean it can't jump 10, 15%, but it's not going to have follow through. Can we just at least be honest? It's probably not going to have follow through. Microsoft, Mr. Softy gave up on this thing. I mean, now it probably could rally. Now you've gotten back above the highs, or the lows, I'm sorry. It's just choppy. I mean, it's just choppy, sloppy. I don't think you're going to catch the monster move with them. NDAQ wanted to short this, said, wait, can't do it until the market looks weak. Praying for the mid-60s. We'll see, because it could play this game where it looks over the channel. I don't know. This is like, again, tech is going to lose all of its Momo long-term. And when I say NDAQ, too, like, they're the Bitcoin. Or they're the digital currency exchange for digital currencies after the bubble burst. Like, there's just no volume. That's what's going to happen on the NDAQ for NASDAQ stocks. Tough. MicroStrategy's got to hold here. If it's consolidating, it could rip. All right, red alert. Netflix, red alert, red alert, red alert. Watch this thing. I don't really recommend a lot of tech here, obviously. So I think it all sucks. Sucks. You know what I mean? Sucks. I mean, it's just going to be hard to trade. This one, again, have overhead sellers. But you have a gap here. If you hold the gap, it might try to go and fill this sucker. So, I mean, you got 50, 60 points maybe. And maybe this carries the NASDAQ up. I like this better than Apple and all these, because this thing is dropped and based. Remember, keep in mind, 704 down to 160. Bases, W pattern, chop pattern, gaps up on earnings. Worth the watch. Netflix, I repeat, the only one I have any interest in. Why? Because it's making higher highs and higher lows. I mean, it seems logical. Roblox. This one's real interesting around 40. I don't know. I think they get bought out at some point, but today's action was interesting. Big red and then a doji today. I would keep this on your watch list for a 2-day range. Tesla, range lows. Ugh. I mean, the market would probably be up a ton if Tesla wasn't smoked. I mean, your guess is good as mine here, Capstone. I mean, you could argue like there's a little, I don't know, channel here forming. I don't know. You're not far from it. However you want to draw it. I don't know. Just, this is not pretty. Again, remember, overhead resistance, people are going to see it. They're going to go, I'm good. X. Didn't follow through down today, did it? Nope. gapped up. Look at that. Commodities acting better. Now, again, you could say certain relative tech looks okay. Yeah, but look at this. Higher highs and higher lows. Like, it's easier. Reference points. Remember, letter X has been, slapping the base like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, forever. Just got a stupid base. It'll bounce. And it bounced. Probably gets back to 22. I mean, it's just not as sexy as Nucor and some of these other names. I'm just telling you. They're like, oh, you gotta do it. I'm like, no, this looks better. Because look, it has more room. It like just doesn't have the overhead resistance like X does. Remember, X is an old soul. This thing holds. You got that W pattern. I don't know why you wouldn't come back up to the 145s. I mean, you can make a point in an hour on this versus a point in X that might take 3 days. I don't know. VALE talked about the Brazilian stuff, and people go stop talking about the elections. No, they have issues down there. They're using software from certain parts of the world that I'm not going to discuss, and they're talking about rigged elections. And you're an election denier? No, I'm an election fraud believer. Both parties can agree on that, I think. There's been a lot of manipulation in elections. The more they become, mail-in and digitally scanned, all this junk, it just gets worse. I don't know who's in charge of it. I'm not painting any picture of I know anything other than it happens. Fair enough. Arrow. They had some news after hour, but look at that. Held the channel lows. Let me check them out. Just curious. They had some news. 11:03. I guess it wasn't that important. Holding up pretty well. That's a nice, channeling high. Copper. And if you go look at the monthly, it doesn't look that bad either. It held the monthly channel low. Let me see if I can paint the channel for the monthly onto this chart real quick. There it was. Literally right there. Let me change the color. Que color on long-term monthly channels. I tend to like the greens. The green variety. There you go. Wow. Yeah. All right. Held it. We'll see. All right. CF. Nice earnings reaction. We talked about it. Everybody in the ag space is expecting the drop and pop back. Let's see what Mosaic is doing shortly here in a second. But we talked about it. You could buy this in the 103 to the 50-day. All right. Closes at 104. Not bad. You can make your point. I think at some point it fills the gap. But don't be surprised if the market holds up that this thing catches some major upside. Because the last time it did like a chop, it does some chop action, it can lead to up. Now, again, obviously it can lead to down, but I like the stored potential energy this thing is forming. Every reason to dump it. Right back. Now 2 days of consolidation. Is it time? I don't know. Mosaic. Closed at 50. We talked about it being stuck here for months. Whatever bad news has had might be priced in. Let's go check the 10-minute. Okay, at 50. Going nowhere. Absolutely fast? No, that's what I'm thinking is that whatever is, you have to remember, when the market thinks the tendency now is, when I say the market, like when retail starts thinking something's going to happen every time, like be careful with the CPI numbers. If everybody thinks the market's going to go down on a piece of data, it might do the opposite. Remember, the market's trying to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. Keep your opinions out of what you think is going to happen unless you got evidence. At this point, I don't know what CPI what's going to do. But if we're at the 380, 370 range, it might not break down. I would rather see it fall down from a higher price or a base and fail. We'll see. The elections, we got to see. We got to get through that. Remember, it could take a couple days. Remember, keep that in mind. NTR, what did we talk about? Pulled back today in the 72s. Bought it 72.30. Not bad. Said I wouldn't be surprised if it got right back into this range. Zoom out. Zoom. This area matters. That area matters. I'm going to make a t-shirt for that. That area matters. Will people buy those t-shirts? Kind of play on the whole political thing. Whatever you want to say. Whatever lives matter. I want to say in the charts, that area matters. This matters. Seriously, it matters. Bounced. We'll see. Not guaranteed, but if this is the base, again, think of Flea holding the base. If it holds the base, it's going to get people excited. And when people get excited, it's probably going to go higher. And if the market maker absorbed volume here and wants to mark up, it's going higher. UAN, don't really talk about this, but this was just interesting reaction because it's the same thing. It's like making this higher low and creating this monster pennant. We'll see. AA talked about the 2-day range today. If you bought it at 41, congratulations. This is a nice gap up. Do you see like how AA pulls back? We buy. GDX, gold, whatever, oil. If it didn't pull back, you don't want it. Because this kind of stuff can happen. And so here, AA's nicely, 2-day range. Also the highs from the second. Also the doji. Also this candle. I mean, you can see this 41 area has a little bit of meaning. Look what it did. 2-day range. Nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with a little sideways action. Oh, wow. That kind of fit. Yeah, we'll see. Bought some, expecting commodities to rise. I mean, it's that simple. XPI dumped this and said, you know, it is not acting right. Feel better about it. It's just, you would hope it could go, and it just kept kind of slipping back. And I like commodities better at this point. Pharma, I mean, this has taken a smash. But we'll see. I mean, it could get tax loss sold. It could be stuck here for a while. I don't know. I mean, you could paint whatever picture you want. I just didn't like the way it was acting. Some of the other pharma names weren't pulling their weight, and so this employee got fired. We'll see what happens. Oh, but Dan, you can't pivot. Yes, we always pivot when we need to. XLF. Hey, the market's going to crash. Not when financials are holding up. Told you that. Here we go. Back into this tight upper range. 200-day possibly intact. Coming in for you. Morgan Stanley. Again, holding up at the 200-day. Doesn't look terrible. Has a tendency of going over the 200 and playing a game. Your guess is as good as mine. Again, just don't expect. Don't expect what? The market, the tank, the financials are... Gosh, look at JP Morgan just cooking. Multi-day range goes a little higher. Multi-day range goes a little higher. Things that aren't bearish. Okay? Things that aren't bearish. Go back to Mosaic. Someone said it's at 49 after hours. Watching the live chat. Or 48. Yeah, it's hanging out. No one seems to... The numbers seem to be indifferent. Good deal for CF and our friends in the ag space. Let's get into solar. Oh, speaking of 10-minute, Sedger. Their earnings. Oh! Again, told you not to short solar. At your own risk. 232. Oh, puts it back at range highs. We'll see what happens. You know, again, we don't hold through earnings, but it's been the repeating tendency that these solar names have done well, even though we don't trust what they're doing. And they're getting a lot of subsidies. ENPH, look at that. Fills the gap, holds on. I didn't watch it, but man, you could have bought that. I bet that thing's up after hours. Let me see. I'm just curious. If you could have bought that at 265 even. Yeah, 270. Yeah, looks pretty solid. First solar, thought that we could drop red wave. Where do we say watch? 145 area. And there it goes. It pops. Where is it after hours? Not really much. Support equals resistance. We talk about it all the time. Oh, where do you think it's going to hold, Dan? Well, when in doubt, look left. Look for spots that seem to be important, and then draw your line. There you go. And it went a little below. Oh, no. I said this, but think about it. Volatile stocks can go past your swing points easily. That happens a lot. All right, HYG is just right here. Why not? Flat for the day. Building a base. Doesn't look like the market's crashing just yet. Let's end it on oil and gas. Oil. Again, we talked about the 893 area. You chased it. Let it chop. Let it play games. UNG, if you sold it up at the highs, at the 200-day, high five. I mean, I didn't look at this till after the close. I was like, whoa, because I have no position. But it's a solid move. If you bought it down here, you took some off. Now, wait. Now, again, I typically wouldn't say gaps matter with this thing, but this 21 area is probably the 660 area. I'd watch that. Looks interesting. XOP, we said the gap was going to fill. Nobody believed us. We're getting close enough for government work. Nobody believed us. Nobody believed us. There you go. Now what? We'll see. I mean, it's hard to be bearish this stuff. It's leading. If the market's drifting higher, I mean, do you want to short ExxonMobil up here right now? No, it just keeps making new 52-week highs. We talked about here comes the monthly upward channel bound. It's probably going to tap it at some point. People are just so quick to jump on and short these, and it's like, okay. Oxy, here you go, another one cooking up. We talked about this. Here you go. Chop, little sloppier and choppier, but held 70. Now you're at 76. Things that are bearish. Even EQT, they can't manage their own portfolio of derivatives. Look at this action. Oil and gas, lower left, upper right. Commodities, lower left, upper right. Commodities, base. I like them better. All right. Be safe out there. If you have any questions, please reach out. I appreciate the support. Again, I don't mean to be mean or ban people or won't let people in the room. I'm just telling you, you have to be the one to look in the mirror and acknowledge your own mistakes. I love to guide you and help you out. I appreciate the love, support, donations. It's all very much appreciated, but again, it's not my job to manage your emotions. I can't do that for you. You can't pay me enough to do it. Ultimately, you don't want anyone to do it. You don't want a therapist either. You want to be able to control this stuff. You want to be the superpower, Superman, Superwoman, super whatever that controls their own emotions, has emotional intelligence, trades well. If you have any questions, you want to reach out, hit me up on Twitter, and hit me up on a DM on Twitter. That's the best way to get access to me. Direct message. I can try to give people a few pointers, a few little talks, a few thoughts, but ultimately you have to be the person in control. And when I say that, it seems very logical, but if your account balance is not doing well, you're letting the market control you. Because remember, the market can't steal your money. You have to donate it. Don't be a willing donator. Talk to you later. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.